Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. Today's guest is Brian Willer. I've asked Brian to come on today so he can share his own personal story with you about his son Dallas and how he found me. So, Brian, thank you for being here. And I
Right.
know it might be a little difficult, but I'm doing this show so that it really can help others who have been in the same situation or have maybe wanted to go to a medium but wasn't quite sure about it. And your son came through so beautifully and really touched my heart
Yeah.
that Brian actually called me a couple times, and I'm like, "Hey, would you come on my new podcast?" So, Brian, thank you for being here.
Thanks for asking me. Yes. Yeah.
I so appreciate it. I know it's a heartfelt kind of emotion, but
Mhm.
you're safe. You're safe,
Ho-
right?
Hopefully, I can get through it without crying.
And if you do, that's okay. Tears are healing. So,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been a long time. So
Mhm.
it's still right here.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Dallas?
Well, so going back to the beginning, Dallas was always a young, handsome, energetic boy. Loved skateboarding, scootering. That was like his passion. His whole life. He was always an outdoorsy kid. As he got older, say his early 20s, he started to become more homebound, um, not really wanting to. You'd have to drag him out of the house to get him to go do something. He didn't do things on, just voluntarily would go out and do things. So with that being said about Dallas, like I said, he was a local skateboarder. Loved that sort of a sport. You know what I mean? The adrenaline type sports. You know what I mean? And so as Dallas got older, into his early 20s and mid 20s, he started to become a little more withdrawn as far as wanting to go out and do things. You know what I mean? He would go on adventures for days and days at a time, but then he would come home and he'd be in his room for weeks and weeks at a time. Um, Myself, I never saw anything wrong with it because he'd always been a kid who would spend hours and hours and hours in his room playing video games, and just if friends came over, they came over. If they didn't, he would just hang out by himself. Um, with that being said, towards the end,
You thought his behavior was just normal
his behavior was just normal. Yep, yep. His behavior was just normal. Even being around the house, talking to him, his behavior was just normal. Um, Sadly to say, Dallas took his own life a few weeks back. I could give you the exact hours if I wanted to. You know what I mean? I could tell you how many minutes
because
it's
it's
been.
embedded
Uh,
in your heart, of course.
it's it's a true tragedy. It's a true tragedy. Um, now now that he's gone, I can look back and now I can see the depression that he had when he was home. I couldn't see the depression that he had, um, which tears me apart to think that I could stand next to him and not realize that my son was depressed because he hid it so well. So
I want to jump in just for a second
yeah,
because when Dallas came to me, the first thing that he said was, "It's my mom and dad are the best parents in the world." Right? Do you remember that?
yeah,
This is
yeah,
not on them. They were the
yeah,
best loving parents anyone could have.
yeah, yeah. He said that, and of course that made us felt great. Um, so, anyways, I've always been a believer in mediums, in the afterlife, and all that. So, of course, within days of Dallas's passing, the first thing I wanted to do was reach out to a medium to just ask him, why, what happened, this sort of thing. So, um, I was able to connect with a medium out in the western part of Massachusetts, which was good. We had good validation on that reading, but all those validations were things that were before Dallas's passing. I only had maybe one small thing in there that was after Dallas's passing. So, with that
So
being
then
said,
you reached out to me.
yep, I reached out to you because I needed more validation. I wanted validation that Dallas was with me still. You know what I mean? I wanted to know that he was still with me because everything that I've read, everything I've watched on TV, it just all say that your spirits, they don't leave you. They just drop that physical body, that they stay, their souls stay with you and their spirits stay with you every day, just like as if they were home. And
So Brian, when you called me, did I ask you how long your son had been gone?
you did, yeah, you
Because
did,
sometimes if spirit tells me, oh, they've only been gone for a very short time,
yeah,
I ask people to wait a little bit because they're so grieving, right? The parents are so grieving, they might not be ready to receive the information.
yeah,
But Dallas came through like amazingly,
yeah,
like he had been in heaven for 20 years. So
yeah,
believe it or not, when we go to heaven, we build that energy to be able to come through. But when
yeah,
I connected with Dallas, he came through, I think, beautifully. You know, he told me about, I'm not sure if you remember this part. And I don't remember always little parts because it's more channeling for
mhm,
me. But Dallas did show me him being in his room and it being dark and him being depressed. So he started off with evidence that was totally for just him, right? So there was
yeah,
evidence.
right,
I love that you went to another medium as well because I'm going to tell you there's some great mediums out there, but every medium works a little bit different, and every
mhm,
medium is going to be able to access different information for you. It's
yeah,
almost like if it's in our database, like it's in
mhm,
our conscious mind, we can bring it forward. So
yeah,
I don't always recommend getting in touch with mediums right when someone passes, but Brian did, and it worked out well for him and his wife. So that is good. So Brian, with that being said, um, what evidence really made you feel like, oh yeah, Bonnie is talking to Dallas and he's right here with me?
Well, first, let me say that when we talked on the phone, when we first talked on the phone, the only reason why we talked on the phone is because I thought you were still out here in Massachusetts and
Yes.
I wanted to come and see you in person. So
Mm-hmm.
you had called and said, we can have a person reading, but I don't live there anymore. I live out in Tennessee now. So I don't know how we would be able to do that. And all our conversation was about was how you had moved away, and then you had asked me how long, had my, and you didn't even ask me who it was. You just asked me how long.
I never ask who you're trying to read
Right. You
for.
had just said how long has it been since the person's passed, and I had told you it only been a short time, and you had said you should probably wait and blah blah blah. And so I think I waited 3 weeks from that conversation before I made an appointment with you.
Mhm.
Uh, so that day, and I wanted to go to a different meeting, not the same medium, because I didn't want there to be like this conflict kind of thing. You know what I mean? I wanted to make sure it was true and real, even though I totally believed in mediums. I wanted to make sure that
You
it
wanted
was
evidence, and that's giving you proof. That's
right.
evidence,
Right.
and we
So,
need that in a reading. However,
right.
we also need the person in heaven to talk from their heart. So that's
Right.
what I try to do.
Right. So, a couple of days before Dallas passed away, he had said to me, Dad, I want to paint my room. I said, okay, great. What color you want to paint it? He said, I want to paint it blue. I said, all right. So I said, well, we'll start right here. We're going to do this. We're going to fix the walls and, so it comes out nice and all this kind of stuff. So after he passed away, I jumped on that project so fast because I just wanted to make him happy. And I have all his stuff piled up in his room. Everything's pulled away from the walls. Everything's down. The curtains are down. I'm washing the walls. I'm patching holes and blah, blah, blah. So the day of the reading with you, I went in his room. I said, Dallas, I need you to come through for me today. I said, I need you to say specific things for me so that I know I'm talking to you, that I'm really channeling you. You know what I mean? I said, mention the room. I pointed out a few other things I wanted to mention, but the room was like the big one. I said, you got to be specific for me. And so we started our reading, and we were probably 10 minutes into the reading of some little things that you had talked about that were completely right on. And you said, your words were, Dallas is telling me that my dad says that I got to say something specific so that I know I'm talking to him. And then he went on about how dad's doing construction. He's got the whole place is a mess, which it was. And he said it's going to look great when he's done painting. And I almost fell out of the chair because those words were exactly what I said to Dallas. And it was only him and I in that room. You know what I mean? It wasn't even anybody else upstairs in the house with me. I was completely alone. You live in Tennessee. You know what I mean? I'm in Western Massachusetts. You know what I mean? So unless you somehow came and put bugs in my house in the middle of the night when we're all sleeping, there's like no way you would have ever heard that or known that. You know what I mean?
So
So
another thing for me is when someone books a reading with me, I never even ask their last name or
uh,
or where they live or anything.
yeah, yeah. So that went on, and 2 weeks prior to the reading, my wife had bought me a little heart with cardinals on it, with his picture on it, and a little with a prayer on it about him and stuff like that. And I hung it in my rearview mirror of my car. So throughout Dallas's life, him and I always shared my car.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I paid all the bills for it and all the maintenance and stuff like that. He had the pleasure of driving it all the time, and
Yes,
he
he did.
threw something in once in a while.
I do
So, anyways,
remember him saying, Dad, the car's all yours.
yeah, yeah, the car is all mine. Um,
But
so,
tell us about the what you were getting to, Brian. Was it a
so
necklace?
no, no, that's something different. So he
Oh,
said, so you had said, no, Dallas wants to start talking about the car, and he says he wants you to look at what's in the rear view mirror. So I had hung that in the rear view mirror. You know what I mean? And nobody knows that that is in the rear view mirror other than me, really. Jennifer gave it to me. She's only been in the car a couple of times and just seen me that I had put it there. You know what I mean? She wasn't with me when I put it in there. So
oh, I
for
see.
him to say that, for you to say that you know what I mean? He had to have seen that in my car. You know what I mean? So that threw me off. That threw me off. I mean, didn't throw me off. It just was like, okay, is with me in the car because I feel him in the car with me all the time. I smell him in the car.
So when we were doing the reading, did you feel Dallas's presence right here talking through me?
I I think I did. I kind of like because I'm crying because it's like I just wanted to reach into the screen and just hug him because I could like feel like he's like right there in the room with you. You know what I mean? And I even asked you what's he look like, and you described him to a T.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I said, "What's he look like?" And you described him to a T. I
And
mean, you really did. You described him to a T.
clairvoyance, just we can see in our third eye or outside. So I just, tuned in and, I, when I'm giving a reading, I will see the person first anyway, and then I
Uh,
let them start talking. But when
uh,
you're like, so what does he look like? I'm like, oh, let me get a good look here. And so
yeah,
Dallas came closer and he just showed me what he was wearing and everything, the hat, the whole his hair, everything.
yeah. So soon into the reading, you kept going. Dallas keeps going like this, making a heart shaped with his fingers. He says he keeps doing that. And you were asking us, did he make us a Valentine or something like that? And he hadn't. And so we didn't know what the heck you were talking about. So we kind of just put it aside and went on with the reading. And towards the end of the reading, you kept going, he keeps going like this. He keeps going like this. And then he said, just show me the necklace. So my wife had pulled a necklace out of her shirt that's shaped like a heart that has his ashes in it.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Finally, he was able to get to me. Oh, Bonnie, it's a heart, but they're not getting it. So just say the necklace. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
So what I do is I was just letting Dallas talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I look at you as a phone booth to heaven. That's what I call you.
A what?
A phone booth to heaven.
A phone booth to heaven. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I hope that everyone that's had readings with me through the years just knows how much I love their loved ones. I love talking,
Uh,
bringing them through, and giving them a voice. And
yeah.
I hope everybody in the spirit world knows that too.
Yeah.
That
I tell you, if there's anybody watching that has doubts that their loved ones' souls and spirits are still around them in the house, I mean, since our reading, I actually feel like I think Dallas is probably standing right here next to me right now.
Yeah, he's been blending with me and giving me goosebumps because before I came on, I said, "Hey, Dallas, you going to show up today?" So he's been giving me goosebumps all up and down.
Well, I told him today, I said, we're not having a reading today, Dallas. I said, but if you can get a message through to Bonnie, and
He is still here. He is
I
still
gave
here.
him
I said,
some,
"Dallas, are you here?" And he's like, "Yeah, where else would I be? Like, this is."
I gave him a specific thing to say. So if he can get through
Oh,
to,
so
yeah,
I'm not channeling though during
that's what I
our,
told him.
our podcast here, but
That's what I told him.
so don't put, yeah, but I will for you later.
I told him, I
Because
said,
once I start channeling, then I won't be able to focus on this interview with you. I'll be
yeah,
talking to Dallas.
yeah,
But
I told him, I said, she's not channeling today. She's closed today, Dallas. I said, but if you can get through to her and do the best you can just to let me know, you know? So,
let me tell everyone that is listening, that's watching, before a reading, I set the intention in my office. I say prayers. I open up my chakras, which are my energy centers. So if you're on this podcast and you're wondering about everything spiritual, I take 15 minutes, maybe 20, to really prepare to let someone from the spiritual world come in, someone from heaven, to actually blend with my soul. So their soul, we're still a soul. We leave our human body here, but we're still a soul. I open up all of my energy centers called the chakras, and then I let their soul blend with my soul. And that's how I get a beautiful reading. It's just about opening myself up, having that intention of, okay, I'm open, come blend with me, right? And so I actually feel them, like Dallas is giving me goosebumps or whatever, but I'm more focused on talking with you, and I have not opened myself up. So, but that's what I do before every reading. I really do prepare for that reading.
yeah,
So I
it
hope,
must take a lot of energy out of you. That's for sure.
so yes and no. Sometimes it's very energizing as well. But different readings have different responses. Um, I limit myself to how many readings I do a week because I want to stay really energetic for everyone. So, Brian, I want to bring up one more thing with you. Um, I gave you some information during the reading that you did not understand. And then you called me the next morning and said, "Oh my goodness, Bonnie."
Yeah.
Do you remember what you called and told me?
I remember the phone call. Let me think what the specific thing was that it was. Um,
So Dallas came through and he said, 70s music, Bonnie. It's
oh yes,
really
yes,
70s music. And you
yeah,
and your wife are like, "No, can we make it the 80s, the 90s?" And I'm like,
yeah,
"No, Dallas
yeah,
is really saying
yeah,
70s, 70s."
yeah. So I got woke up middle of the nighttime. I probably 2:30. I seem to wake up a lot around 2:30, 3 o'clock now for some reason. Um, and the song by the Beatles, "Let It Be," was embedded into my head the second I opened my eyes. And I don't even listen to the Beatles. I haven't heard the song Let It Be. I can't even remember the last time I heard that song on the radio. It's just, I don't listen to the Beatles. I'm not a Beatles fan. So, and I haven't even listened to music since Dallas's passing. And so, and it just wouldn't go away. It was as if I just heard it in the car and was singing with it. And I just, you know how you hear a song, you just can't get it out of your head after you hear it on the radio. You wind up singing it all day long, it's stuck in your head. It was like that. And it lasted with me all day
When you
long.
called me, you're like, Bonnie, I got like that 70s song. And so
Yeah,
I always tell everyone, Brian, when there's a song stuck in your head, like you wake up, like that's your loved one giving you an extra message that the medium didn't give you, but they're giving it to you directly. So what I tell people is you woke up with this song, Let It Be. Actually listen to the lyrics because there's an extra message from heaven in there for you.
I went and looked up those lyrics.
You did. Good,
Yeah,
good, good. And they made sense to
it
you.
made sense to me. Yeah, yeah, it made sense to me to where how he got himself into his situation for what had happened. You know what I mean? It was almost like telling me this is why this happened, Dad. You know what I mean? That I mean, with that being said,
With
but
that, let it be kind of like, Dad, I'm still here. I'm still with you and mom, right? I think he said to his mom, I love you more.
yep,
And that made her burst out into tears
that
because it was
has,
their thing.
that has kept us both crying for days,
Oh,
for
and
days.
so I would say the words let it be, we can't go back and
Right,
fix things or try to do them over. We can just move forward.
right. That's
So
exactly what
leaving
it's.
the sadness behind, right?
Yeah,
And having this new relationship with Dallas now because he's going to leave you more signs. He's showing me a cardinal too. So if you haven't seen one, you will.
mhm,
So because he loves nature, right? So I'm tuning in a little. Like he's that outside kid that loves nature.
yeah.
And I know I didn't want to give you something specific, but he is just showing me something with like a tree, flowers outside, and a bench. So I don't know if you have a special place that you sit out in nature, but I know that's when he's saying his soul will be blending with your soul. So
Okay.
does
Yeah.
that make sense to you,
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah. It does. It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. There's not a bench, but there's chairs and
There's a
there's a
chair.
special place.
Okay.
There is.
So I want you to know he's showing me a bench. So I do believe somewhere there's going to be a bench, or he's just showing me that because he's showing me that he's sitting next to you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
kind of giving me that beautiful scenery. He's not taking away the bench. Is there a little body of water there as well where you go?
Well, there's a place that we used to go that he enjoyed going to.
And it was kind of rural, and then there's a
Oh
beauty,
yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah.
not right,
I can
like a
picture it in my
little
head.
pond or
I can
lake.
picture it and put it in my head right now. I could tell you exactly where it is.
Okay, so I'm just giving you what Dallas is giving me that, maybe you want to do a bench in his memory or something, someplace where you can go and sit, meditate, and just, know that he is with you at
Okay. Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that time. He's not taking away the bench. He likes the bench, so I have
Yeah.
to give that to you.
Yeah. So for people watching, also, you had brought up how Dallas had said, "I love you more" to his mom.
Mhm.
So just so people understand what that meant was back when Dallas was younger, him and his mother would say, "I love you, Dallas," and he'd say, "I love you more," and she'd say, "I'm not possible," or the other way around, he'd say, "I love you, mom," she'd say, "I love you more," and he'd say, "Not possible." So when she said, "I love you, Dallas," and you said that he said, "I love you more," that was the home run right there
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps.
because that is their thing that they used to say, "I love you more,"
I
and
know
that
that. touched her heart. So sometimes at the end of the reading, I said, "Is there anything you want to say to Dallas?"
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
he said, "I love you, Dallas." And right away he said, "I love her more. I love
Yeah.
her more, Mom."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yep. And also too, the whole reading. I wish we could have like had the reading all day long. That's how I wished it could have been. You know what I mean? I mean, 30 minutes really put a lot in there, but I just wished it could have been an hour or as long as you could go. You know what I mean? I just there's you can't put a price on it.
it's
it's
I do
remarkable.
believe it's priceless when you have a mediumship reading and there's so much evidence and evidence from the heart, right?
Yeah.
Evidence from the heart of the
Yeah.
person coming through,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it shows you that there's no death,
Yeah.
that we're just at a different frequency,
Right.
right? And then I tune mine in and I can hear them. But
Yeah.
we all can do that too. The new conversation is about looking for signs, quieting your mind, seeing what comes through.
Yeah.
And so I just think everybody should have a message from heaven, even if the circumstances aren't quite as sad, right? You got someone up in heaven that maybe you just want to connect with a little. But what it does do is, I believe it helps everyone maybe not fear death so much because
Mm.
there is no death. And I think I said that to you, Brian. There's no death,
Yeah.
right? We leave our physical body, we're with Creator, where we become one again with each
Mm.
other. And
Yeah.
the conversation is just a little bit different. But our soul's a soul. Our soul has all of its personality, sense of humor. Dallas is just saying I had a sense of humor there. So, yeah, he went through some times that he got depressed. But he also was such a sweet, sensitive boy, right? And I can
Yeah.
say boy 'cause he's young, like my son,
Yeah.
right? There's a sensitivity about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as death is concerned, the worst part of death is actually not the dying part. The worst part is having your loved one die, that so you don't have that physical connection anymore. But if you can just understand and accept it in your heart that their spirit, their soul is still right here with you. You know what I mean? So I mean, since the reading with you, everything that we talked about in the reading only took place after Dallas passed away. It's all stuff that only took place after Dallas passed away, with the exclusion of the I love you more part. But that's something that him and his mom used to say to each other, you know, 15 years ago,
And
10,
only they knew that.
only they knew, and me, of course, because we were always, the three of us were always together. So I knew it. They used to say it to them all the time. I wasn't part of it. I didn't get to be part of the I love you more thing. That was a mom and Dallas thing, you know?
So
So,
Dallas knew that you needed some evidence because the first thing he said, remember, like, my dad's going to need some proof here, Bonnie. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, okay. But, you know,
yeah,
and I said to you, let's just let Dallas talk. And he gave
yeah,
you what he needed instead of
yeah,
me going, oh my gosh, like, let me reach to heaven from
yeah,
Dallas. Dallas, you have to answer this for me. I said,
yeah,
let's just let Dallas talk. And he got everything that you needed to hear because he can hear your thoughts.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
with you, he hears your thoughts, he sees what you're doing, um,
yeah,
and he also sees down the road as well. So
yeah,
just like he knew, Bonnie, just say the 70s music. And you're like, no, 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 no. And then the next morning you're like, oh my goodness.
You also had brought up that he brought up that we were having a memorial for him in 2 months down the road. Okay. Nobody knows about that. I mean, Jennifer, I know about it. The friends that he had skateboarding, we've told him we're going to have and stuff like that. But he brought that. There's no way that you knew about it. There's no way. There's
No.
no possible way that you could ever known about that. And you said that he was brought it up that we're having a race for him or a walkathon for him or something like that. Actually, it's going to be a memorial for him at a skateboard park. So the
Mhm.
two just they connected. You know what I mean? So it's all there. You know what I mean? Right. If there's anybody watching who has doubts about mediumship and spirits and stuff like that, all I can say is try it for yourself. If there's somebody you really want to connect with.
And Brian, do you feel like in some way that reading helped your heart heal a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm still cry every day. You know, I
Okay,
still
that's a
cry.
release. That's a
Yeah,
release. That's gotta come
yeah,
out of you. So that
yeah,
is absolutely okay. Crying,
yeah,
cry away because it's just a
yeah,
release. Those tears release that
yeah.
sadness within you.
Yeah, but no, it definitely has helped. We actually re-listened to it again the other night, and that made us feel better. Just listening to it again, it made us
Oh,
feel
because
better.
you had recorded it?
We recorded it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
great. I'm
yeah,
so glad.
yeah,
I was a little shy about recording in the beginning, and now I tell everybody, no, go ahead, record.
yeah, yeah. And another thing that you touched on as well, or Dallas touched on. So I'm not a drinker. I don't drink like to get drunk or anything like that.
Yeah,
Maybe once a week, maybe once a month, I might have a beer. Not even because I really think the taste of beer is that great. I just like the act and the process of sitting down and pouring a beer and having a beer. It does makes me sleepy. It relaxes me. So
right.
I haven't done it since Dallas passed away until a couple of nights before our reading. I poured the beer and I was like, I can't even drink this. I'm so sad. I'm so sad that I cannot even enjoy sitting here and just sipping on this beer. You know, one beer I just couldn't do. I went and I dumped the whole thing down the drain. I didn't even drink it. And towards the end of our reading, you had said Dallas is whole showing me a beer, and he says, "Tell my dad to just go have a beer and relax."
So he saw you not being able to drink that beer, and he's like, Dad, just drink the beer. Relax, just drink the beer. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, can you?
No,
Not
no,
not that I'm here to prove anything to anyone because I'm not, but if
mhm.
you can see that love never dies, right?
Yeah,
It's a cool saying
yeah,
about love never dies.
yeah, yeah.
So Brian, I'm going to pull you one of my message from heaven cards. I've been
Okay.
sitting here. So these are a deck that I made.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian's deck is on his way, I promise. Brian asked for a deck of cards, and I have not got to the post office yet, but I will. I will.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is your message from heaven. This is your message from Dallas. Trust with all your heart. The answers will come. The
Mm-hmm.
answer will come.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice.
Now, I have not prepared for a reading, but I'm just going to tune in a minute because I have been getting goosebumps from Dallas here, and I'm just going to see if he wants to give you some last words. How's that, Brian?
Sure.
Dallas is still wanting you to chill a little bit. Tell Dad not to be so uptight.
Okay.
He's telling me that he knows that it's hard for you still,
Mm-hmm.
even with everything that's happened with us mediums and everything. He knows it's hard on you.
Yeah.
Telling me it's not something that you're easily going to forget, but he's asking me to remind you of him when he was a little boy, where he was carefree and he was out playing sports. I don't know if he played some softball back then or whatever, but there's a
No. No.
ball and a bat. So that's how he's showing me sports, right? He wants you to remember him back in the day of being carefree and not focus on the last month or so here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He said if you can do that, you can push forward.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a older saying you say, or someone else has given me from spirit, but it's he's saying he's rubbing two pennies together. And he's like, that's just my 2 cents.
Hmm.
So I will let you think of that because I have to give you what he's saying, but it could be a dad or grandpa up there too. That's just
Yeah.
my two
Yeah.
cents. So think of that.
Yeah.
Think of that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
my job is just to bring through whatever is coming through for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of love there. Um, and have you been doing something with your clothes? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Because Dallas is just going like this with your shirt. He says he likes that shirt, but you're doing something with your clothes. So do you want to tell everyone what are you doing with your clothes, Brian?
Well, I've been wearing his rings, and I got this dog tag of him, so I got to keep going like this all the time because it falls out and it
So
gets.
the shirt's getting in the way of
Yeah, so
the
I've
necklace.
been having it like
Did
this.
you see what he did? Like he
Yeah,
went took your
I've been
shirt
going
like
like
this,
this.
and he said,
I've been
"I
going
like
like
your
this with
shirt."
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been going like this with my. I got them up here like this. I've been going
So
like this.
spirit moves my hands too, guys,
Yeah,
and Dallas was like this. Sure, I like that.
but I've
But
been doing. I've been doing
mention the
that,
shirt.
and I've been keeping the collar up because it makes it come more comfortable with the necklaces. Because I never wore necklace jewelry and stuff like that before.
So he likes that new look, Brian.
Cool. Thank
And
you.
I'm gonna leave you with his love because, of course, his love is outpouring for you.
Mine for him as well.
And I don't know what else is going on. He's just telling me to tell you that you're going to make the right decision.
Okay. All
So
right.
he knows your thoughts. So whatever you're thinking about, you will make the right decision.
Okay. All right.
Well, Brian, I'm going to thank you so much for coming on today and thank everybody for watching or listening. I
Yeah.
um, Dallas's story touches everyone's heart and I'm just sending all healing and love to you and your wife, your
Yeah.
beautiful wife, Brian, and thanking you so much for coming on. I know it's hard to share, and you did a
Yeah.
great job.
I made it through without crying.
You did it without crying, but remember, it's okay to cry.
As
So,
soon as we get off this, I'm going outside to bawl my eyes out. Trust me.
okay, and think about that place near that pond where Dallas would like
I
to
already
sit
know
with
where
you.
you're talking about. I'm gonna go downstairs right now. I'm gonna tell my wife exactly about it. She's gonna know exactly what we're talking about.
So when I just said that to you, Dallas blended with me again. So he's like, yes, that's yes, you need to do that.
Tell him we'll go up there as soon as the snow breaks.
He said, "Oh yeah, that's snow.
Yeah.
There's not snow in heaven, right? Or in
Yeah.
Tennessee, right, Dallas? But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, Bonnie, I'm so glad you came into my life.
oh, and I'm here whenever you need me. And Dallas is just telling everybody out there today. He said, just believe,
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna wait a couple months and I'll be back. And you know what I mean. It just
Yeah, if I can say something about that too to everyone, it's wonderful to have a mediumship. It really is a reading. And then I get asked a lot, how soon can I come for another one? And I tell everyone, let some things in your life play out so that your loved one can come through like Dallas did and tell me, and allow me to speak, right? Of everything that's happened since they've passed. And so now if you have a reading 2 months down the road, he can give you more evidence about what you've been doing. And then of course you love the evidence, but always in a reading, the main message is just that beautiful contact between a loved one and your client sitting in front of you, right? It might not be evidential, but it will be that message. But evidence is needed sometimes so that you know for a fact that we got your son right here and we're just having a conversation with them.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So
is a
I
great
look
thing.
forward to seeing you in the future, Brian.
All
And if
right,
you just
Bonnie.
need me, just reach out.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
See
you,
you later. Bye bye.
everyone. Lots
Yep.
of love, Brian. God
Yep.
bless you.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.